At my adopted daughter's wedding, I offered a lifetime seat at my company, she answered with a slap and a $30 million ultimatum. The room of 300 guests gasped, but I knew something none of them knew. One call could turn the whole day sideways. You're watching Revenge Files. Subscribe for a new twist daily. My name is Nora Ellison. I'm 53, grew up in a rented duplex over a tire shop, and built a logistics software company in Raleigh, North Carolina. I spent 20 years learning how to turn late trucks into data and data into contracts. We went from me and a folding table to a staff of 86 and statewide clients. When investors asked for a mission statement, I said, "Make miles honest," it stuck. I adopted Lila when she was 12. She came to me with a backpack, a sketchbook, and a habit of sleeping with shoes on. The first night she asked if our house had rules about opening the fridge. I said yes. The rule is you never ask permission to eat. I thought that was the moment she became mine. I might have been wrong. Or maybe love is a long math problem, and I carried the one wrong. By last spring, my company, RoadSense Analytics, had a conservative valuation of $525 million based on our last funding round. My board wanted to push expansion to the Midwest. I wanted to give Lila skin in the game. She was 24, bright, good with people, and loved design more than code. I built a development plan with HR, a rotation through customer support, implementation, and then brand. I proposed an 8% stake, vesting over 4 years, held in a family trust with independent trustees. That stake came with a trainee seat at quarterly board meetings and a stipend to finish the MBA she'd started and quit twice. She heard none of it. Lately she'd been orbiting a faster son. Aiden Harrow, her fiancé, was charming in the showroom way. His father, Martin, owned a string of dealerships spread from Asheville to Wilmington. They shook hands hard, wore navy blazers in August, and treated weddings like mergers. The wedding was June 18, 2023, a Sunday, at the Umstead Hotel in Cary. A classic Carolina sky thunder stacked on the horizon like folded briefings. 300 guests. The band tuned under white tents. I had sent the attorneys the gift documents at noon, the ones that said if accepted, if employed, and if enrolled. Conditions I thought were love spelled in legal. I planned to speak for 2 minutes at the rehearsal dinner, present a leather folder, and hand Lila a pen worth more than my first car. The folder stayed under my chair because when she arrived at the head table, she leaned down and said, "Without hello, I don't want a class or a chair. Just give me $30 million cash." I thought she was joking. Aiden was smiling at the room. Martin lifted a glass. "We'll make good use of it," he said, like I'd offered a store credit. $30 million in cash, Lila repeated. No trust, no classes, just money. I told her we could talk tomorrow. She said tomorrow would be too late because the point is today. I said the point of work is every day. She looked past me and said, "Then no." When I refused, she slapped me. It wasn't hard enough to bruise. It was hard enough to make a sound. Fork stopped. The guitarist plucked a wrong note that hung in the air like a question. I stood there, hands at my sides, and watched 100 phones rise and stop, unsure if recording a slap counted as love. Then I picked up my cell and walked to the service hall. It took me 30 seconds to call my general counsel, 8 to find the banker's direct line, and 5 to text our CFO, freeze the outgoing gift escrow, hold all wires tied to Harrow expansion. One problem, the groom's family assumed I was also providing a separate $2 million bridge investment to Martin's dealerships on Monday morning. A handshake I'd explicitly tied to Lila accepting the training plan, and the prenup she'd agreed to sign. I had told Martin twice, in email, that there would be no bridge without the plan and the prenup. Some men hear what they want and call it a deal. While I was in the hall, the hotel's event manager, Shelley, asked if we needed security. I said keep the band playing and the bar open. Then my phone buzzed. Martin Harrow. "Don't cancel anything," he said, breathless. "She's upset. She didn't mean—" "I've canceled nothing," I said. "I've frozen what wasn't due." "We're closing Monday," he said. "The floor plan lender needs proof of funds by noon. This is a misunderstanding." "The condition was the plan," I said. He lowered his voice. "Nora, this would crater us. Please forgive the girl. We'll sign whatever." He wasn't pleading for Lila. He was begging for Monday. There's a difference, and once you hear it, you can't unhear it. I went back inside. The room had split into weather systems, my side silent and straight-backed, their side murmuring in humid circles. Lila's face was set in a look I didn't recognize. She had always been quick to laugh, Now she looked like someone built of mirrors. The officiant asked if we were still on schedule. I said yes. Weddings like trains run better when they run. During the vows, Lila's voice trembled only once, on the word honor. Aiden slid the ring on. Applause filled the space more than joy did. But then, 2 hours later, a cousin posted a slow-motion clip of the slap with a caption about controlling mothers. The clip cut before my call. It traveled faster than the band's second set list. Someone ran comments. Someone else made a dance out of it. I didn't respond. I documented. At 11:34 p.m., a text from an unknown number, wire $30 million by noon. No complications. Or we go public. The number belonged to a prepaid phone. The grammar belonged to desperation. Monday morning, Aiden and Lila didn't show for their appointment with our attorney to sign the prenup. At 9:12 a.m., an email from Martin's counsel arrived with a marital support agreement I had never seen before, drafted the week prior. It referenced a customary wedding gift in cash, no less than $30 million, and attached a promissory note with Lila's digital signature pledging to support family business liquidity. The note carried a confession of judgment clause in a Virginia template. Someone had shopped forms and stapled dreams to them. I called Lila, straight to voicemail. I sent one message, come see me by 5, bring your own lawyer, this isn't what you think. She didn't reply, except. At 12:06 p.m., Martin's lender emailed me to confirm funds availability for a standby letter of credit tied to my supposed bridge. I forwarded the lender my email chain with Martin where I used the words contingent, no funds until signed, and after training plan acceptance. Then I called our counsel, Deborah Prince, and said 3 words she never minds hearing, file and serve. Deborah prepared a complaint for declaratory judgment in Wake County Superior Court. Count 1, no obligation to gift cash. Count 2, tortious interference with business expectancy. Count 3, defamation by implication tied to the manufactured clip. She attached exhibits, the development plan, the emails, and a sworn affidavit from me describing the slap and the demand. She also prepared a motion for a temporary restraining order, preventing the Harrows from representing to any third party that I owed them money, or that Lila held any transferable interest in RoadSense. We requested a hearing for Wednesday morning. The hotel sent security footage. The audio was soft but clear. You could hear my no cash, training first. You could hear just money, on Lila's side. You could also hear the slap. Deborah clipped the key 20 seconds and stored the originals on 3 separate drives. She sent a preservation letter to the Harrows, do not delete or alter. Tuesday blurred. My staff whispered in hallways like it was a storm day. I walked the floor. I told them what I always tell people around a crisis. We do boring work very, very well. We took care of tickets. We shipped a patch. I paid a vendor early just to remind myself of motion I controlled. That afternoon, my assistant slid a manila envelope across my desk. No return address. Inside, copies of internal emails from Harrow Motor Group. One from their controller mentioned evergreen add-on fees flagged by AG's office and liquidity buffer needed by month-end. Another forwarded a draft subscription agreement for Harrow Family Partners, Class C units with Lila listed as a capital partner by gift. The envelope smelled like printer ink and risk. The mid-roll surge of this story landed with that packet. Martin hadn't just misheard me, he had engineered a funnel, convinced Lila that cash proved love. Convert the gift into a capital injection into his dealerships, use her new marriage to pull her name across documents while catering set out canapes. I did something I learned a long time ago in procurement fights. I didn't yell. I faxed. We sent the packet to Deborah and to the lender's special assets unit. We also sent it to the North Carolina Department of Justice's Consumer Protection Division with a cover letter asking nothing and promising nothing, just the line, we believe the attached may be of interest. I don't like wrecking people. I do like gravity. Wednesday morning, courtroom 10B smelled like coffee and obligation. The judge looked at our stack of exhibits like a man staring at a shed he'd have to build before lunch. Martin's attorney argued that a customary wedding gift created an enforceable expectation. Deborah said custom is not contract. He argued I had promised $2 million separately. Deborah held up my emails with contingent. He said we defamed a bride. Deborah pressed play on the hotel audio. The slap filled the speakers like a door slammed in a hallway. Then Lila spoke. She wasn't a party to the motion, but she stood and said, I just wanted independence. Her voice cracked again on Honor's cousin. The judge nodded. He said independence never comes with a wire labeled no strings. He granted our temporary restraining order for 14 days, barred them from representing any obligation on my part, and set an expedited schedule. He said both sides should use the time to think about how they wanted to look in a transcript forever. I thought about the first time Lila kept a C in math and I threw a silent parade. I thought about the drawing she made of our house with a tiny red heart in the window. I also thought about the packet and the promissory note with a fake notary stamp. Deborah had already called the named notary, who said she'd never met Lila and was in Wilmington that day. By Friday, Martin's lender had pulled his lines into review. Salesmen were delivering cars with smiles that didn't reach their eyes. The cousins' viral clips started to sink under a tidal wave of other videos. The internet forgets. Court orders don't. We offered a settlement with terms I wrote myself, added to by Deborah's teeth. 1. A joint statement that there had been a misunderstanding regarding a proposed business gift, with each side withdrawing social posts. 2. Martin and Aiden to sign a consent judgment admitting no right to demand cash and promising not to contact my clients, board, or employees about it. 3. The phony promissory note, rescinded and destroyed, with an affidavit from Lila attesting that her signature was obtained under pressure on June 12, and that she believed it was just for wedding budgeting. 4. $485,000 for my attorney's fees and costs, payable in 30 days, secured by a lien on a parcel they owned off Glenwood Avenue. 5. A civil penalty of $1 if they breached again, plus $500 per day in fines for each day of breach after notice. Martin balked. Aiden postured. Lila cried. I didn't raise my voice. I did raise an eyebrow at the court reporter as she transcribed their whispers in a pre-mediation conference. Nothing is louder than a whisper written down. They countered with a smaller fee number and no statement. We stuck. The judge looked at the calendar and said, pick, hearing at 9 on Monday, or signatures by 5 today. They signed at 4:53 p.m., but then, 3 days later, a burner account posted a new clip implying I'd bought the court. It had 1,200 views before our paralegal captured it, and Deborah filed a violation notice. The consent judgment turned out to be more than paper. The judge issued an order by noon, pay $3,500 in sanctions, and remove the post within 1 hour. We collected a screenshot of an ACH receipt at 12:48 p.m. and a deletion timestamp at 12:59. Sometimes revenge looks like boring compliance. Meanwhile, I redrafted the gift I'd meant to give my daughter. I converted it into a scholarship fund in her name for women studying supply chain at NC State. $3 million dispersed over 10 years, with mentorships inside RoadSense. I told the trustees to put her on the interview panels if she wanted. I told HR to keep her employee file open but inactive. 2 weeks later, Lila came to my office. She wore the same perfume she'd worn to her 7th grade orchestra concert. She sat, folded and unfolded her hands, and said, I thought the cash meant you trusted me. I trust you to grow, I said. The cash would have trusted a man I don't. She told me Martin had pitched the bridge to her as a family thing, and that no one gets married without a big show. She said Aiden had told her I was old school about control. I asked her if she'd be willing to read the packet. She did, and her breath got small at the fake notary. She whispered, I didn't see this. Then louder, I didn't want to. We sat in the quiet like you sit in a church after the pew's empty. She asked what working for me would look like if she came back. I said it would look like work, the kind you can't Instagram, answering tickets, documenting edge cases, listening to drivers who don't trust software. She said, I could do that. I told her there would be one rule, no one used her last name for leverage, including her. She said, I can do that too. Except, she went home and lasted 4 days before Aiden told her that a woman shouldn't answer to her mother. He said leaving the dealership project would embarrass his family. She moved into their apartment at North Hills and posted a picture of a champagne flute over city lights with a caption about choosing yourself. The internet applauded. The court orders didn't care. In August, the Attorney General's office opened an inquiry into the dealership's add-on fees. I heard about it the way small cities always hear, at a farmer's market, while buying peaches. A salesperson from a rival lot said, Harrow's got an audit. I nodded and counted my change slowly, like nothing inside me moved. In September, Martin missed the fee payment deadline by 12 days. Deborah filed a lien notice on the Glenwood parcel. We scheduled a sheriff's sale for November 7. At 8:14 a.m. that morning, Martin's new counsel arrived with a cashier's check for $488,500. fees plus interest, plus the $1 civil penalty the judge had included for the principal of the thing. I signed a release. The deputy laughed at the one I didn't. The same week, Aiden messaged me asking for one more meeting to find peace. I agreed, at a coffee shop on Hillsborough Street, where the chairs wobble and the espresso tastes like homework. He arrived in a suit too tight through the chest. He thanked me for coming. Then he asked if I would at least uncancel the $2 million bridge, framing it as goodwill. I said goodwill is a line item you earn after a transaction, not before it. He said I'd cost his family jobs. I said he'd tried to cost me my daughter. He said softer, that he never meant harm. I told him harm rarely announces itself. We didn't shake hands, we didn't threaten. He left carrying nothing but his own words. December brought quiet. The scholarship applications came in with essays about midnight warehouse shifts and mothers who counted pennies in glove boxes. I read them in my living room with a blanket over my knees. The tree lights blinked like a memory you almost have. On January 5th, Lila rang my doorbell. She wore no perfume. She asked if the help desk still needed people. I said yes. She said she could start Monday if the pay was the posted pay. I said we post pay because it is pay. She smiled for the first time in months, small and true. She worked the phones for 6 weeks before a driver named Claudia asked, "You that girl from the internet?" Lila said yes. Claudia said, "Then you know what slowdown feels like. Welcome, we didn't talk about the marriage until March, when Lila told me she'd filed for an annulment citing fraudulent inducement. I didn't fund anything. She hired a lawyer who charged a fair retainer, $8,200. I gave her a list of 3 paralegals who work like metronomes and an offer to read filings if she wanted eyes. She said she could handle it, and she did. On May 16th, a judge granted the annulment with a written finding that certain financial documents were presented to petitioner under pressure and without full disclosure. The ring went back. The captions went quiet. By summer, the dealership chain had sold 2 stores and restructured. Martin stopped wearing the navy blazer in August, finally. He sent a short apology through counsel, 28 words of it, a settlement metric. I put it in a drawer. If you are waiting for me to say Lila and I became best friends and started baking pies, stop. What we began was smaller and therefore real. We started leaving each other notes on the counter. Fed the dog, your package is by the stairs. Proud of your ticket count yesterday. She sat in on one board meeting as an observer. She asked one question about a churn graph that made the VP of sales blink. She walked with me after, silent until she said, "It's more boring than I thought." I said, "That's how you know it's working. On the anniversary of the wedding, we ate takeout lo mein from paper cartons on the back steps. She asked if I'd ever have given her cash if she'd agreed to the plan first. I said no and yes. No, I wouldn't have given cash for the sake of cash. Yes, I might have issued a special dividend to all shareholders, including her, when we hit our Midwest milestone." "That's different," she said. "That's earned." I nodded. The dog chased something invisible. Crickets filed paperwork with the night. People think revenge is a speech you make on a staircase while the violins swell. It isn't. Revenge is a spreadsheet, a file stamp, a sheriff's sale that never has to happen because someone brought a cashier's check. It's also knowing when to stop pushing. The court orders did their work. So did the scholarship fund. So did time. I kept the leather folder I had meant to give Lila. The pen, too. Sometimes I take them out and practice my signature again like a kid. The folder still smells like a new promise. The pen still writes like a plan. That night at the Umstead, the slap sounded like an ending. It was, but not the one I feared. I offered a seat at my table, she asked for cash, and I answered with structure. A year later, she took the seat. The table is the same. We are not.